But having won the war, the government is now being asked difficult questions about how it paid for it. The waters off Angola are awash with oil. Almost 1 in every 10 gallons imported by gas-guzzling America comes from here. Claims that money from oil ended up as fat commissions on arms deals led to a scandal inevitably called Angola-gate in France. Now research by the NGO Global Witness suggests that more than $1 billion of Angolan oil money went astray last year.
It's not true, because apart from eventually small cases or a few cases of which could be considered as cases of corruption, you have a very huge propaganda that is done, because eventually we may have a state of poverty, or we may have a state of war that has been going on for a long time.
The suggestion is specifically that $1 billion of Angolan oil money went astray last year. Is that true?
I don't think that's true in terms of amounts that you've been saying. What we do have here...
It's true in terms of a few million then?
Pardon?
You say there's small corruption. What would you just call small corruption?
No, well, people make deals on any things that are being sold or being bought. But so far, when you look at the arms deal that was done, which was, I think, the major case when people were talking about Angola Gate, basically there was no Angola Gate, because the people who are involved are not Angolans. The people who are the intermediaries of the purchase. The arms were bought in Russia.
So are you saying no Angolans made money on arms deals in this war?
No, I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but that's a normal thing you find in these kind of businesses. I think what we need today is to look at how do we respond to that, because my problem is you find that in America, and even eventually in larger quantities.
The UNITA rebels were no better. After slaughtering all of Angola's elephants for ivory, they moved on to diamonds. It's easy money if you know where to look. The diamonds on this table alone are worth about $1 million. The mine where we were allowed to film has not been involved in any underhand dealings with UNITA, but much of the diamond industry was in their hands. Despite UNITA's dubious financial record and the fear it still inspires in the countryside, it is still hoping to make corruption the big political issue when elections finally come. I spoke to the man who will almost certainly be their presidential candidate, Savimbi's successor.
I think that in the next times, when war will no longer be an excuse for the government to keep the people in the abject poverty that they are, then things will have to be tackled. We need really to overcome that past in which both sides, UNITA, I recognize it, and the MPLA, which is the party in government, committed very atrocities which could even be called crimes against humanity. But I think that we need now to reconcile those on both sides of the conflict and then allow for peace and stability to happen.
The riches of Angola's elite are awesome compared to the sufferings of most people here. Those who enjoy the entertainment in a beach bar owned by the president's daughter will sleep in a bed tonight, while Maria's family, in a makeshift shelter in the bush, can finally take some rest after running for their lives.
Not so when I last went back to Angola. This is becoming a land of cripples, and with aid in such short supply, a crutch is a privilege. Hospitals smell like abattoirs, no new bandages, no medicines, and doctors who regularly amputate without anesthetics. The survivors must sometimes envy the dead. So much of this land is lethal that people besieged by mines and to feed themselves farm right up to the boundary of the minefields, and sometimes, too often, fatally beyond it. Children play in them, despite the danger. They treat mines as toys, and they'll think nothing of running over tripwires for a dare. 1 in 4 mine casualties are children, some of them barely old enough to walk. The land they once farmed, the land that once belonged to them, now belongs to the mines. This is the legacy of a generation at war. This is its memorial.